Welcome to the Bad Tutors podcast. If you're here for the newest, up-to-date, accurate information about the nerdy topics that are near and dear to your heart, well, let me tell you, you ended up in the wrong place. Here we are all about hot takes and grandiose displays of misinformation. So stick along for the ride, and you might just blow a blood vessel or two. Thanks, Metro. That's good.
No, I deleted it. You can't say
Okay. Sure thing, bud. I don't have control of the edits here. What we want to talk about today is a little bit delayed from when we want to talk about it, because one of the games that we're going to talk about does not have nearly the chokehold on my life that it did when I first started playing it, but it's still very good. We're going to be talking about deck builders. Now, for the uninitiated, I'm just going to go through a couple of the basics of what makes a standard deck builder style game. And Tyler, correct me, add on anything you think should be there, of course, as always.
Sure.
Now, this is technically not always true, but on average, it's going to be a card game at its base. I do know, I can't think of any offhand, but there's definitely a couple games that, follow the deck builder style in gameplay flow, but just don't have cards specifically. You have monsters or minions or something, but it fills that same kind of slot. Now, what it is you're given normally a starting deck of cards that, if we're taking Slay the Spire, a game that we've talked about before and a game that we're definitely going to be talking about today, you are given a set of strikes, defends, and then your class's specific cards. So just very basic actions within the game. You're given a few of those so you can do something in the game. These cards are normally pretty bad, and you normally want to get rid of them pretty quickly. Now, you think, well, if I get rid of all my cards, what do I do? Most of these games have an equivalent of what would be a river in poker, except you're buying cards from them. Taking Slay the Spire, for example, in different points in the map, you can literally go to shops that have a number of different cards you can buy. At the end of every combat, you are given a choice of one of 3 cards to pick from. You're constantly adding to your deck, should you choose to. In things like the Hearthstone single-player expansions, they have packs of cards similar to how they do the arena draft style. And in most board games, like physical board games, it's almost always like a genuine river of 5 cards around.
Yeah,
when you buy one, it repopulates.
Market, yeah.
Exactly.
They call it a market or whatever.
Yeah. And that's your standard. I feel like that's a decent, the goal of them is different from game to game, as with any other format of game. I feel like that's a pretty decent base of what a deck builder is. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think it's just yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to start with a starting deck usually.
No,
because there's a couple where you just
on average
kind of start.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring it up later, but
yeah. Another thing that we're going to be talking about is we'll probably get a little bit into deck building in this, as it's obviously going to be a very core part of deck builders. That's going to come up, believe it or not. But as Tyler and I conferred, I don't believe either of us are confident enough in, say, drafting abilities in, say, Magic the Gathering or something like that to talk confidently on it, because technically you could view that format as a deck builder format, as you're starting from nothing and building a deck. But that's a lot different of a feel to a deck builder style game than just building your deck from packs in a draft style. One thing that I'm going to throw out, you can tell because most of the games that we're going to talk about are this. I personally, as with most games, it's shocking, think that the deck builder style is normally more fun when it's a single player game. I don't know if you have a stance on that. I'm normally a single player boy, as we've talked about. You're normally a multiplayer boy, but I think the very crazy, quirky, fun shit that you can do in a single player game that would feel bad in a competitive multiplayer. Like, I didn't play during the time, but Hearthstone experimented with some of that with their brawls, where, like, all of the really fucking wacky shit that would happen in their single player modes would you could play it competitively basically, and like sometimes you just get like so fucking locked out of games. It was absolutely ridiculous, and like
Okay, so you're
to me
just
that isn't
talking
fun.
about in a digital capacity then, because like all of the weird wacky shit that you can do, those only exist in like Slay the Spire, Balatro, Hearthstone. Like you're not going to
um
see that in like Star Realm where somebody's like doing something fucking insane and has like they play one card and like 700 effects trigger and stuff like that.
yeah, I do on average. Like, I agree that that is the take I'm going for. I don't like playing the physical ones that are that kind of direct competitive as much. Like Star Realms and Hero Realms. Is that the other one,
Yeah.
or is that a
Yep.
different game?
Yeah,
I'm
Hero
not as
Realms.
big a fan of those, but we're gonna one of the other physical ones that we're gonna talk about is called Clank. You said you haven't played it at all. It's a
Nope.
dungeon delving game where you're doing your normal deck builder things, but you're literally moving within a physical dungeon. Like, instead of in Slay the Spire, you have attack and defend. In Clank, you have like attack and movement, and you're trying to like actually move through the dungeon. We'll talk about all of these games a little bit more in depth in a minute here as well, of course, as we kind of outline them. But I class that is I called it a multi single player, which is certainly not a term that exists, but I hope it conveys the feeling that I'm going for of the kind of oh, you haven't played Legendary either because we tilted you off of that game so fucking hard. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, you can
Um
never get me to play that game.
no, we all have our game and that's yours. That is another deck builder. I'll save you from reliving that pain. It's an X-Men or not X-Men, it's a Marvel on
Marvel. Yeah.
Whole deck builder game that is very fun, but it is cooperative until the end where you're like just competing for the most points, not like Star Realms or
Sure.
other
So
just card
like
games in general where you're trying to kill the other person.
I feel like we got kind of away from the point that I brought up, but just a lot of the crazy stuff that you don't want to see happen to you because you just want to do it against a computer
Correct. Yeah,
is not
I'm a
going to
little
happen
bitch.
in a multiplayer game.
Exactly, because there has to be like balance
Balance.
in those,
Yeah.
which I'm not saying is bad. A competitive game should have balance. I just don't like
Okay.
competitive most
Let,
of the time.
let me say
I'm a
this.
little
Okay.
bitch.
So you think it's more fun in a single player setting, but I think it's more fun to see that you're buying all of the green cards, and then when 3 green cards come up in the shop and you have 6 already, I'm gonna buy those 3 green cards just to fuck you over. I'm not even specting green at all. I'm in like
I,
red or some shit, and I just want the opportunity to deny you the
I
synergy.
I don't disagree with that. The spite plays in competitive deck builders feels really good, especially when you know you're on the back foot and you can't come back.
Okay, so
I mean, at least in Star Realms, I've
what's
hit that point.
what is the dwarf one?
Nidavellir. I see. I wasn't sure whether to classify that as a deck builder or not. I kind of feel
That
like
was
it
the one
is,
that I was
but
using as an example of it's a deck builder that you don't start with a deck for. You just start with
oh,
money
that's true. Yeah,
and you're upgrading your coins and you're picking up cards that you don't use anymore, but they're how you score
Mhm.
points. I feel like
Yeah,
it's just capturing the marketplace part of a deck builder and
it
not really
is.
like any of the interaction that happens afterwards.
Yeah, to
But
give
that's still
some.
fun.
I love that game. That's actually one of my favorite board games. Since we're not going to talk about it much more after it, but you're right. That's a good example of one that doesn't have a starting deck to it. Nidavellir is a game where you have call it 5 different factions of dwarves because I can't remember how many colors there are offhand.
Yeah.
And every round you have coins that you're bidding on who picks first in 3 bettings of dwarves, and all of the factions have different effects that score points in different ways, and you're just getting the most points at the end. But very good game. I did think about that one. Wasn't sure if it counted, but I suppose it does technically still.
It's like
you're just not
like the
using
deck list.
the deck to like play things.
It's the deck list builder.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It does everything that a deck builder does, but you never have a deck.
Right.
Which is pretty great, honestly.
It is. I think it's a great game. I do want to talk about Seven Wonders really quickly because I think that's
okay. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it, but we should probably talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, I want to talk about it for one of the things that I think it does wrong because it's a good game. It's a very good game. What it is there are 3 decks and there are 3 rounds. Each turn, you're passing your hand to the left or right, depending on the round, and you take 1 card and you can play it. So it's like kind of it's a draft.
Arcana Rising?
I think Arcana Rising is the better version of Seven Wonders, but I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
So Seven Wonders, to me, I've played it with people that know it about as much as I do, and I've played it with people that know it a lot more than I do. Now, it's true to say that every game, if I haven't played a game and I sit down with you and the roommates and you guys have all played it for the last week solid, you're going to be better at it than me, inherently. You've played the game already. It's going to be easier for you. You know how you want to build, how you want to play, what your play style is. I think Seven Wonders is one of the best examples of people that have played the game before have such an inherent strength against newer players, because how things work in that is in Age 1, you have your basic buildings, or your basic things that you can play. Age 2 builds on the things from Age 1. And Age 3 builds on the things from 2 and 1. So the fact that I don't know what is coming in the final acts, because it could be like, all right, you need these, an Act 3 card could say, you need these 3 things, 2 from Act 1, 1 from Act 2, and then like some side objective or something, or like a resource or something like that. The fact that I don't even know that that card is a possibility, like, it makes your first playthrough, you just go, oh, this seems good, and then this seems good, and then you go, oh, I can't build anything because I didn't know I was supposed to be planning this far ahead. And if you play with people that know it, it feels so much worse because they can just go, oh, the fucking windmill builds into the library, so I know I need to take this now and deny everyone else taking it. And like, I realize every game has this. Like, if you've played it more, you're going to be better at it. But like, it feels, that's a game, one of the only games where it's felt really bad. Like, other games, I'm okay with it because I'm learning it, and how I normally do it is overly commit to one really stupid mechanic of the game, and I don't normally win, but I have a good time. Seven Wonders just feels bad for that reason, where Arcana Rising is the same exact format of it, 3 acts, passing cards left or right, but everything builds off of each other a little bit more. If I recall, there's like a couple locked things, but like everything feels more fluid than Seven Wonders, which is super, super rigid and you can't work around anything. So if you're playing with people that know it and you don't know it at all, there's an insanely low chance that you'll ever win because there's so much strategy in it, which is good when you're on the same level as someone else, or you know more than them, then it's fine. I just want to bitch about that because everyone loves, like, fucking loves Seven Wonders. That's one of the biggest games at Gen Con. But like, I have beef with Seven Wonders. I don't know what it. I do know what it is. I just explained it over the course of a couple minutes.
It sounds like if you've ever played Sid Meier's Civilization, which I know you have,
I have, yeah.
There are some very clear things that you should do early to put yourself ahead.
Rush
In
Great
Civ,
Library.
I was gonna say, in Civ 5 and 6, you are rushing the Great Library.
Yep.
On almost every civilization, if not every civilization.
Yep.
Because then you can just rush every other wonder.
Yeah,
Pretty
getting
much
that
if you
lead
get
is
there
just a
before somebody
snowball.
else. Yeah.
And if you
So
don't
it
know to do
sounds
that,
like,
you're already like inherently lost a little
yeah,
bit.
it sounds like there's just things that you need to know. Like you need to go down this tech tree to get to this one, and if you choose this one, you can unlock the Great Library, and you can get there in roughly this many turns.
Yeah.
And start working on it, and then you just switch everything to production or whatever to get that done so that you can keep powering forward. It sounds like your issue with Seven Wonders is that path is never clearly explained to newer players, and they just have to play the game a couple times. How
like
long is a game of Seven Wonders?
Not incredibly long. I haven't played it in a long time. I definitely wouldn't put it over like 45 minutes. And I'm sure once you know it, once you learn the flow, it goes a lot quicker. So you could bang out a couple games for sure. I feel like the solution I have to it is on, say, your because in your Civ example, you can look down the tech tree. You can see what you're going to build to, even if you don't know what's good. If the wheat field in Act 1 of Seven Wonders said builds into the granary, which builds into X thing, that would be really nice, just so you could have an idea of what you're getting towards. But also, it's physical cards. That's a lot of real estate on a card to like take up and still show your other stuff. I understand why it's not there, but I just have a little bit of beef with that game that I wanted to knock out real quick. And talk about a different style of deck builder as well while we're talking about them. One of the ones that I want to talk about the most, other than the last one we're going to talk about, is Slay the Spire. I have talked about this game on the podcast before, I believe at least during the modding episode, if not something else. I can't quite remember. Kind of synopsis of this game is you have 3 different acts and then the secret ending act, which is like the real final boss of the game. You have a character, which is one of 4 different classes: the Ironclad, the Silent, the Defect, and the Watcher. You have a starting deck of cards, as I've described. They have, for an example, the Ironclad has, I believe, 6 strikes, 5 defends, and a bash, which does some damage but applies vulnerable and gives 25% extra damage for however many turns the enemy has vulnerable. The format of the game is you draw your hand of cards, you pick a spot on the map. There are different branching paths that move up the spire, and there's enemies, elite enemies, shops, campfires to heal or upgrade your cards, and random events, which can be one of any fucking number of things. They can be enemies, they can be actual events, whole bunch of stuff there. I'm not going to get into all of those, obviously. But the whole point of the game is to build your deck stronger and stronger and beat 4 different bosses. At the end of each act, which I believe is like 10 to 12 floors, there's a specific number in every one. I just don't know it, so that's a good guess. Each act has a boss. You kill that, you move on to the next act, and you just keep going. You die, you reset. One of the things that makes it a little bit more unique is that it has relics. So every class has a starting relic. The Ironclad, for instance, at the end of every combat, you heal 6 HP. Pretty strong to start. It's the best for new players, so you don't have to think about your health as much. You're always healing a little bit just to top you off a little bit, as long as you don't take too much damage. That's like a starting relic. One of them is Runic Dome. You don't discard your hand, which, as I'm sure you can guess, for other card games that we play, in a game where that is the whole mechanic, you discard your hand at the end of every turn. holding onto your hand is fucking crazy. It's one of the best relics in the game. So you can always keep your outs in your hand, or keep your good damage, keep your good block, whatever you need, you can keep it there. So I want to talk a little bit about how each of the classes play very briefly, and what my favorite build for each of them is, because Tyler doesn't really have a ton of experience other than maybe watching me play a little bit in Discord.
Yep.
So the first character you unlock, I definitely think it's the best starter character, is the Ironclad. He's this big sword man. He has a couple different builds. He can deal a lot with exhausting your cards, which is exiling them for our Magic players out there. You just burn the card and you can't use it again in that fight. He has whole builds around that where he's making his skills cost 0 and exhausting them, and then drawing a card for every card he exhausts. So you're just like constantly cycling down, and then you're paring your deck down to your like 5 or 6 crazy good damaging cards. That's a very strong build that is a little bit too big brain for me most of the time. I can play it. Like, the issue with this is I can play it, but when I've gotten there, but it's difficult for me to spot it when I'm building my deck. That's the thing that I'm still trying to get better at, is when I play Slay the Spire, is being able to look at the cards given to me and go, okay, I'm building this a little bit, but it's still early. I need to pivot into this kind of deck now, because that's the cards that I'm getting fed. My favorite way to play the Ironclad, which is always very hard to pull off, but when you do it, it feels really good, is a full block build. One of the other mechanics in Slay the Spire is you have your health, of course, but you also have block. Similar to Hearthstone, like you take damage, it gets removed from the block. Unlike Hearthstone, it goes away at the end of your turn. Now, of course, the Ironclad, being big sword armor boy, has a number of cards that deal with block, either getting a lot of it. There's one of them, Barricade, that makes it so you don't lose your block at the end of the turn. So you can keep stacking it and stacking it and stacking it and stacking it. One of the cards lets you double your block. So say you're at 100, now you're at 200. Shield Bash is an attack that costs 1 that deals damage equal to your block. When you upgrade it, all of the cards in Slay the Spire can be upgraded as well. Shield Bash now plays for 0. So you get 2 or 3 of those, and you get like 600 block on you, and now you're dealing 1800 damage for free. And that's just very fun. It's because then you just can't ever fucking die, and you just smack things for 1,000,000 damage, as we know quite well. I like seeing big number go burr, and I think that's a very fun way to play that character. Next, we have the Silent. They are a rogue for all intent and purpose. They have poison. They have shivs, which are a 0 mana card that does 4 damage and exhausts at the end of your turn. They're also the wheel character. A lot of discard, a lot of draw and discard, like draw 3, discard 1 for 1 mana, that kind of stuff. A lot of them are just really strong, because like we said when we were talking about, like, if it were competitive or multiplayer, like draw 3, discard 1 for 1 mana in terms of Magic, like obviously the scale is totally fucking different, but like that's a crazy fucking card. It's Faithless Looting +1. That's the right math, right? Yeah. Like that's fucking crazy. Very strong.
Wait, what did you say?
Faithless Looting +1?
Yeah, so discard, draw 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's
just wanted to make sure, because I know that
knowing Magic cards are not
magic.
my thing. Yeah.
I don't want like Nick fucking Snapchatting me on Monday.
I was
a
gonna
picture
say, don't
of
worry,
fucking
I'd be the one to hear about
croutons
it.
or some shit just to trigger me.
Yeah, he does that to me all the time.
This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is now. Now that I think that actually I think that's the most fun way to build the silent, where you're just constantly wheeling your deck, like to the point where a lot of builds in Slay the Spire, like the really good ones, just end up being infinite combos, which I'm going to talk about in the mod section as well. But I think the most fun way to play the silent is there's poison builds that you can do. Poison is an effect that, say I give an enemy 5 poison at the end of their turn, or sorry, at the start of their turn, they take 5 damage and reduce poison counter by 1. The start of their next turn, they take 4 damage, reduce poison counter by 1, so on and so forth. But you stack that up as high as possible, and then there's a card that says double poison, and then there's a card, and then you upgrade that and it triples the poison value, and then you stack up and you're doing 1,000 poison damage, and you go, oh, but it goes away once that enemy dies. Well, there's a relic that when they die, it transfers onto another enemy. So you just, if you have 4 enemies in a fight, you just stack it on one and then go bop, 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 and then all 4 of them are fucking dead from like 1,000 poison damage. Very fun way to play it. Defect, the third non-secret character, because when you first load in the game, you can play the Ironclad, you play a run, you unlock the Silent, you play a run, you unlock the Defect. Once you win a run, you unlock the Watcher, who I will talk about in a second. So the Defect is the third default character. It is a little robot guy. He has orbs and powers and claws. Those are the 3 builds in the simplest terms I can put them, because getting into it would be very complex. He is the character that took me the longest to understand how they work. Not to be good at them, but to understand how they work, because I'm still not good at the Watcher. But the Defect I understand now, at least. One of the quirkier builds that you can do with them is a 0-cost deck, where everything in your deck, pretty much, with the exception of like a few cards if you're getting like crazy good luck, costs 0, so you're playing your whole fucking hand out every turn if you can. And then there are relics like Unceasing Top, where if your hand is empty, you draw a card. So if you have all 0-cost cards, you just keep drawing your fucking deck. Like I said, a lot of these end up in infinite combos.
Right.
That's kind of the fun of it. There's a whole boss in Act 3 that like specifically says fuck infinite combos. You can literally only play 12 cards a turn and it automatically ends your turn. So you can't always bank on that. But also it's a 1 in 3 chance to get that boss, the Time Eater. So like, you know, just be fucking lucky and never be punished and don't roll Time Eater. The game on whole has a third type of card called Powers, which the closest magic equivalent would be enchantments and auras, I suppose. The card that I talked about in the Ironclad Barricade is a power. It's something that you play at once. It isn't exhausted, but it is removed from your deck as it is played directly on your character. So most of the time they're doing an effect. For the Silent, there's one where it applies 2 poison to every enemy at the start of your turn. Stuff like that.
Okay.
The Defect's whole thing, really, is orbs and powers. There are 4 different types of orbs. That is one whole build. You're cycling through orbs. All of them have different effects. Very fun, a lot of animation. It's a very animation heavy build. So I don't play it as much because as we've established, I like things to go fast. But the powers build is just fucking dumb. And it falls into the same thing as the orbs realistically. But there are cards in the Defects deck card pool that generate more powers for you. And there are cards of every time you play a power, draw 2 cards. And then there's another power that's at the start of your turn, draw an additional 2 cards. So you're just playing fucking everything. And it's all spawning, and it's a fucking overload. But you just, at a certain point, you just start flicking cards up in the air, and you're just like, they're gonna die at some point. I know they're gonna die at some point. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. And I think that's a very fun way to play that. You're just going, I hope it fucking works. I hope it fucking works. And that's the game that we're going to talk about at the end of this episode, is just could be called This Will Probably Work.
Maybe.
And then the final character that, as I said, you get when you beat a run, when you actually beat Act 3, is the Watcher. And I theoretically understand the Watcher. I've said a couple times already, the whole point is kind of infinite combos for a lot of these. It not inherently, but like they're really strong. And every class that I've talked about so far has them, but it's not necessarily the first thing you would discover. The Watcher's whole thing is that she has stances. She has Wrath and Calm. In Wrath, you do 2 times damage, but you take 2 times damage. In Calm, you exit Wrath, is really the point, but when you exit Calm, you gain 2 mana. So if you can, the whole point is that realistically, on the same turn, you should be flipping between the 2 stances. She's like a monk, basically, of like going back and forth, like go into Wrath, get your 2 extra mana so you can do more things, do a fuck ton of damage, and either they're dead, which on average, the Watcher's really fucking strong. It has some crazy damage output. So they probably just die when you're in Wrath. But if they don't die, you better have a fucking way to flip back into Calm so you're not taking double damage on everything. So the whole class is kind of built around being infinite and just flowing into infinite things. There's a power that when you go into Wrath, you draw an additional 2 cards, for instance. So if you get your deck small enough, you have a card that puts you into Wrath that costs 0, and a card that puts you into Calm that costs 0, and your deck's small enough, and you're constantly cycling between the 2 of them. And it's very cool. It's good. It's fun to watch people that are good at it do it. I am not good at spotting the infinite combo line. Like, I guarantee I've done runs where there's been 7 of them in my deck, and I just don't see that line to do it. So I'm still working on that one. Watcher is hard. Watcher is fun, but it's hard. The one thing that I'll say that I like, and one of the funniest ones that I've won with, there's a card called Omnipotence, where it costs 4, so off the bat, it costs more than you can spend, more mana than you have on an average turn. But the Watcher starts with a card that stays in your hand, and you can cost 0, and you can get 1 mana. You get 1 mana when you play it, but then it exhausts. So you can have 4 mana on 1 turn, like early in the game. Obviously, like I said, you can get relics to increase your energy and all that. But Omnipotence, you get to pick a card in your deck and play it, and then that card is exhausted. And when you upgrade it, you get to pick 2 cards and play it and exhaust it. I once played a run where I had either 4 or 5 Omnipotences. So you would pick one, and you would play Omnipotence, pick one, and then it would play that Omnipotence twice. And then you'd have the original first choice from the other ones. You'd pick some kind of a damaging card. And then you would have 2 activations of the new Omnipotence. And then on the first one, you pick another Omnipotence. And you see where this is going. It's not infinite, but it's just like, all right, so I just do 500 damage on one turn for 4 mana. Very fun way to play that character. That was like 20 minutes on Slay the Spire. We should probably move on. We have like 4 other games to talk about.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean,
I've put a lot of time into Slay the Spire. Yeah.
I barely know the game.
It's one of the deck builders that, other than the last one that we're going to talk about, he whose name shall not be said, it's one of the ones that I like actually wanted to write this about.
All right, let me talk about the Realms games to give you a fucking break.
Yeah, because I have in my notes, fuck these games, I'm so bad at them. So I was hoping you would talk about them.
Yeah, so in the Realms games, and the one that I played the most of was Star Realms.
Yeah.
The object of the game is much the same as what we were talking about. In your deck, you start with money and a couple of damage cards, and you have to kill the other player with damage. Yep. There's a couple ways to do it, and the whole time you're also buying cards from the shop. There's like a display of like 5 that everybody can buy from on their turn as long as they have the money. Yep. And then there's also factions in the game. So there's red, yellow, green, and blue.
I was going to say, yeah, there isn't a black in those ones, right?
No.
Okay.
So red is going to be damage and like
recursion, if I recall. At least in Hero Realms, it has a good amount of recursion. I don't know if that's also true in
I don't remember. I think in Star Realms, I think you want to be just like double spelling with red, I guess. It's like playing 2 red cards.
Right.
And it gives you another effect. Green is usually just big damage up front.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a little bit more expensive. Blue is going to be gold. They're like your trade empire.
Oh, yeah, it is. I was going to say it's draw. Blue is always draw. This is one of the few games where it's not. You're right.
And then yellow is going to be your draw through.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of cards that affect opponents' hands and stuff. But basically, the objective of the game is to blast people's health down. Blue also shields you. I forgot to mention that. You can can heal with blue.
Mm-hmm.
And like actually bump your health up past the starting point. And this is Star Realms, by the way.
Yeah, I believe that's also true in Hero Realms. They're like,
I think so,
incredibly similar. Just one is in space and one is fantasy. Also, if this game sounds good, it's one of the only ones that is free digitally, like totally free digitally. So if it sounds good as Tyler describes it,
on tabletop, right? Is that what you're talking about? Tabletop
no, like
simulator?
their own app, like their app. They have one. I mean, I don't know if the service is still running. I'll be real, but at one point in time, Hero Realms, or I believe Star Realms, was a free app that you could just play. Which is, even if I don't like the game, that's cool. I like that. Yep, Wise Wizard Games. It is a free game still.
I kind of lost track of what I was saying. But basically, in the game, as you're buying cards, you want to sort of choose a direction to go in. Whether it's make a lot of money so that you can buy really expensive cards, or buy a bunch of small cards so that are all the same color, so you get the points as you play multiple cards on your turn. You progress down each tier for each color that you played. So if you just go all green, some of the big green cards have like their initial effect, which is like say 6 damage, and then on their second effect you get to draw a card, and on their third effect they deal like another 10 damage or something. That's kind of like how you play this game, is you build into the best hand possible by picking up ships as they come out. And then with Hero Realms, it's the same thing, but there's also like an expansion to it that I don't understand because I didn't play it. But basically,
it just makes it Hearthstone.
Okay, cool. So you can play
cool.
Hearthstone.
It's good. What I mean by that is it gives you a hero with like a hero power.
Okay,
it's cool. They're fine. It also that opened it up to make it co-op as well, because then there were like
Bosses.
boss decks, yeah, which like it's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, so
sorry, go ahead.
That's these games. Very simple.
Yep.
A lot like Dominion, but Dominion you don't actually attack each other. You're just trying to get as many points as possible. And you can like interrupt each other's hands and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one we'll talk about is probably also not going to be super long. I mentioned it a little bit. It's Clank. Clank is a dungeon delving deck builder where you and your friends dive into a dungeon and try and make as little noise as possible, and I mean that literally. There's a card called Clank that you make noise and like raise the threat level of the dungeon. So on the map there's like different nodes that you move to with physical movement cards, like one will give you 1, 2, or 3 movement, stuff like that. And there's a line about a third of the way down the map that when you're below it, you are in the dungeon. And if you get to max threat level and you are below that, you fucking die. That's the end of the game. There's a couple ways that it can get there. A turn timer can be set off by one person leaving the dungeon. So it's a balancing act of how deep do I go in compared to my friends. How deep are they going in? What are they going for? How quickly can they get out? So that's where I coined the term multi-single player, because you're not directly affecting your friends as you're playing this game, but your decisions can affect their decisions, right? As opposed to like, hey, I got the sword and I'm attacking you, because there is monsters in this game that you can farm for gold. One game that I played of it, I sat in like the first 3 areas after I had like developed a deck of only damage, and there's a shit ass goblin that you can kill for 1 gold and he has 2 health and he always respawns, and I would just kill him like 10 times a turn and just farm up gold until everyone else went, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here, and then I was like 2 spaces away from exiting so I could just safely fucking do it as soon as someone else did and not die immediately. There's a lot of different builds to that game. I haven't played it enough to like know all of them. The meta evolved like 6 times over the 3 times we played the game, because that's how our group always is. It's a very good game though. There's also a space one and a mummy one. I don't have that one, but those are good games, and it's a little bit of a different style from the ones that we're talking about, the other ones that we're talking about, because this is like an actual map and stuff that you're moving on, as compared to just like playing some cards and stuff. It's a good game. I definitely recommend that one. Now we're going to talk about the game that had a chokehold on my life for like 2.5 weeks, and when the mobile port releases, I'm scared for my career. It's the reason that I wanted to talk about this concept, because I didn't necessarily think I had just enough to say about this one game, but I knew I could talk about it in this format. And that game is Balatro. Now, the way that it's described, and the thing that kept me from playing it for the longest time, is that it is described as a poker roguelite deck builder. And I heard poker, and I was immediately out. I believe when I told you about this game, you heard poker and were immediately in on this game, correct?
Yep.
I think the fact that it has poker in the front of it is correct. It's the only correct way to describe it. But I think it's probably, if it stopped me, I think it probably stopped a lot of people from playing it as well. The only elements of poker that actually matter are that you have a deck of, in most of the decks, 54 cards, and it is literally a standard deck of cards. Sorry, 52, not counting jokers. You have a standard deck of cards as your deck. Those are your starting cards.
Yep.
And every round, or every hand, I should say, you are playing a poker hand. A pair, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, full house, flush, straight, etc. That is the extent of it being poker. Sorry, and you are scoring points, which are chips. And that is the extent of poker. Poker ends there. Everything else is just a deck builder. But it is the most addictive deck builder I've ever played, and I dropped a lot of time into Slay the Spire when I first started playing that.
Right. Yeah. It's good.
It's a solo dev game. It's really fucking good. The whole point is, so say for example, you're playing a flush. Your hand is a flush, which is, I'm not going to get into how fucking poker works. That
it's all the same.
If you don't, yeah, I'd say
there's hearts.
No. Yes, I
clubs,
know, but I'm not gonna like
diamonds,
explain
and
every
spades.
poker hand. Yes, and it's 5 of 1 suit, and you play that, and all of your cards score points for the value of the card. Faces being 10s, ace being 11, numbers being their respective number, but and a base. Say you play a flush, you get 100 chips and a ×4 multiplier. So the whole game, the whole point of the entire game is make your chips in a multiplier high enough that when they are multiplied together, you hit the score, the ante at the, which is the points you have to hit to move on to the next round. Where this game goes fucking insane is you're upgrading all of the hands that you play. So instead of 100 × 4 for a flush at level 1, at level 5, it's 450 × 11. So you're already base level. Why did I pick 11 and not 10 to be able to say 4,500 chips? You're starting there and you're putting additional abilities onto your cards. For instance, the multiplier effect, which just gives a default +4 multiplier. The bonus effect, which gives a default +50 chips, or that however many it is, I can't remember offhand. There's the lucky ability, which has a 1 in 5 chance to double your multiplier, not add +2, double, and like 1 in 30 to just give you $25, which you use to buy new cards at the shop. Same as Slay the Spire or any of the like rivers that we've talked about in other games. And glass doubles your multiplier. There's all of these things you can apply to your cards, different seals that give you different effects and generate other cards. And then I'd call the crux of the game is your jokers. Now, jokers all give different effects. These can range from when you play a straight, get +12 multiplier. Seems like a pretty good thing if you're going for a straight deck. It's not, it's a trap, don't fall into it. Besides the point, that's higher level theory. They all have different effects. One of them that's won me the most games is when you play a heart, there's a 1 in 2 chance to double your multiplier. And then you get a different joker that is the dice that says all probabilities are 1 higher.
Yeah.
So your 1 in 2 chance to double your multiplier whenever you play a heart in your heart themed flush deck is now a 2 in 2 chance. So you double your multiplier 5 times every hand. So you're just going to insane numbers. When you're seeing like people that are actually good at the game and not me play this, they're getting into scientific notation for how many chips they're getting in a single hand. And something that this is not my own original thought, but something that I appreciated and agree with the person I heard say it is certain roguelikes, kind of you're meant to like just continue playing, or they have like an infinite mode to it. Slay the Spire, it's not the default, but there is a mode where you can just continue to run the first 3 acts and it gets harder and harder and harder every time. Balatro technically goes forever, but it's on average, a pretty even scale up from ante 1 to ante 8, which is the end. You win after you beat ante 8. But then you can continue in endless mode. And endless isn't like, oh, I'm gonna get up to ante 100, like I'm just gonna keep pushing it. Going past ante 8 is the game going, alright, you think you're fucking good? You think this is a good deck? Prove it. It goes from like, I think the highest ante 8 score I've seen, I think is like 120,000 chips. Somewhere around there. It might go up to like 120,000 or something like that. Yeah, there's a specific boss effect that increases the score that you need to get. And it can be pretty fucking high at the end of ante 8. And then immediately when you go into ante 9, the third step of the third fight, air quotes, is like 500,000. And then on ante 10, it's like 1.2 million. Ante 3 is like 3 million. Like, exponentially is maybe too grandiose of a term to describe how quickly it climbs, but like, you're meant to fucking die. Like, getting to like ante 11 or 12 is like fucking crazy. I have, how long do I have? 42 hours in the game. I think I've gotten to ante 12 one time. And I'm not positive I made it to 12. I definitely made it to 10. But it does it very well where you're meant to just keep throwing fucking games. And all of the elements around it feed into it really, really fucking well. Like, it's built to be fucking addicting. Like, even to the fact of like the chips counting up. Hearing that, it's just dopamine in your fucking ears. It's really good. It's a very well-designed game. Very worth the fucking money. I don't believe it's even that much. Yeah, it's like 14. It's $15 when it's full price. It's $13.50 right now. Like, it's a whole 10% off. But like, it's the person that I saw talk about it after I had just started playing it, ironically, is Bricky. I might have mentioned him on here. I don't know. I like him a lot. He does a lot of Warhammer stuff. But he also just does general game reviews. And it's the only time he'll say at the end of all of his reviews, like most reviewers, should you buy this game? And normally it's yes or no. Normally, good game, yes. Bad game, no. I think it's the only time I've heard him say, this game is incredible. It's one of my favorites. You probably shouldn't buy this game. You're gonna lose your life. Like, he jokes that if the amount of people played this game that this game deserved, the US economy would probably genuinely suffer because so many people would be not doing their job playing this fucking game. And I can agree with that as someone that burned like 2 full weeks doing nothing but play this fucking game. Like, this, I didn't expect it to have the death grip on me that it did, but holy shit, it's not like it's all I can think about, like when I'm doing other things. And do you know why it wasn't that way? I wasn't doing other things. I was only playing Blatro. Like, I joked for way too long that I understand gambling addiction now, because I can't stop playing this fucking game. You guys can't see it. I'm gonna tell you, I've had notes for every other game. For Blatro, it's just like 10 lines of cum in all caps. That's how good this fucking game is. It's really good. I can't recommend this game more, other than the fact that you're gonna lose like a week of your life playing it. Felt like when I found Minecraft for the first time, it's like, I'll crawl out of my cave in a week when I'm bored. And it wasn't that I was bored, I like had to like live my life. Blatro is really fucking good. You got anything to add to that rant? That's been like 3 weeks brewing when we talked about other topics.
No, Blatro's fun.
I've been meaning to talk about it for a minute.
It's a lot of fun. I think... I don't know. Like, I enjoy poker. I enjoy watching poker more than playing it, because I like to know what's going on without having to use my brain too much, if I'm being honest. But
I feel that, yeah.
one of the things that makes Balatro so fun is you're literally just creating weird poker situations. Like,
Yeah.
I just played a game where I used the spectral packs, and I reduced my hand size down to 5 because I got the Ouija board twice, and so I had a bunch of 3s and a bunch of kings in my deck, and I had a card or a joker that let me copy the first card that I played if it was the only thing that I played. So I just played a bunch of kings and 3s on turn 1 so that I would just keep building my deck. And at the end, it was like I had like 23s and like 14 kings. But I fell so far into the spectral pack territory, I had 4 cards in my hand. So I couldn't even
crazy detrimental.
I couldn't even craft a flush. I could only go for 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind. Couldn't even go for 5 of a kind at that point, which is not normally possible, but it is in Balatro, which is funny and quirky.
Exactly.
Very fun.
It's really fucking good. It's a great game. It's very replayable. Not only are there obviously like different builds, like I would consider a build in that game for different hand types is realistically different builds.
Yeah.
But there's also different decks entirely. I think the best one.
It's like levels. It's like the way that you play the game changes because
it's the same as your Slay the Spire classes.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
I guess so.
I think that the best one is the deck that gives you spectral cards. It starts you with a spectral card that gives you holochrome on a joker and destroys the other ones. And then I think it's spectral packs either are allowed to appear in shops or appear more often in shops. I don't remember.
I don't usually, so.
Oh yeah, it makes them appear in shops, and
Yeah.
as Tyler kind of just described. Spectral packs are like maybe the strongest fucking thing in the game. Not always, but when you
pretty
get
much,
the thing
yeah.
you need, it doesn't set you up to win, but if you're in a situation where you already have a really strong deck, it can 100% push you over the edge and take like a deck that'll probably beat Anti-8 to like, I can go a couple more for sure. Like you've really set yourself up really well now. It can be very defining to your deck, which is very fun. And then there's another one that I don't actually know how good it is, but I think it's very fun. It's the Plasma deck. I don't know how much you've played if you've unlocked that one or not.
I haven't unlocked it, no. I'm actually really fucking bad at this game.
I was,
sad.
and then I dropped like a full week into it, and I'm okay at it now. The Plasma deck, I think, is the most fun concept for a deck, because as we've described, you have your chips versus multiplier, and it's literally in like a little equation. Your score is calculated, chips times the multiplier. Before you score, when you play in the Plasma deck, it takes those two numbers and equalizes them, which is kind of fun. So if you have like
funny.
400 times 10 or 400 times 100, so I don't have to do harder than the most basic fucking possible math.
Yeah.
Instead of doing 400 times 100, it's doing 250 times 250.
Yeah.
Which I feel like when you get to later levels without knowing, but being bad at math, I think it's harder later. I think it's good early because you don't, it's like, I've had the first ante on every game is 300, which like there's a couple hands that you can always play to pull that score in like one hand with a normal deck. I've pulled like 3K on hand 1 with Plasma because you get like a full house and it's like, all right, that's like 3,000, and you're like, what the fuck? I don't have anything going. So without actually knowing the math, I feel like it's a lot stronger earlier. I might have just not had a good enough run to like have it be really good later. That's also very possible.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's like a really cool concept for one of the like a way to play though. I think that's really interesting. Because then you can like focus more on chips, which is normally not as good. Normally the multiplier is what matters more. So like it allows you to like kind of balance out around that. I could keep talking about Cilantro probably forever, but it would get very rambly. Not that it isn't already, but it'd get a lot worse. So I want to hop back up to something that we skipped as we described these deck builders. And I want to talk about some kind of basic strategy in like what I'd consider some like common misplays, not within certain games, but just with deck builders on whole, because hopefully we've been able to outline that they're somewhat similar. They're not the same.
There's traps that persist through each one. So
the first thing that I want to say, we've kind of mentioned it a couple times already. In any game, almost any deck builder, where you have a starting deck, it's dog shit. It's absolute trash. Get rid of it as soon as possible. I have not played a deck builder that does not have a mechanic that lets you remove cards from your deck. Some of them, they're less common than others. For instance, Star Realms, it's a lot harder to do it than in Slay the Spire, where at every shop you go to, one of the options is always remove a card. So sometimes it's easier than others in certain games, but on average, your starting deck sucks. Get rid of it as soon as humanly fucking possible if you can do that. I think that's just strong general advice. There's times where it's not true, but on average, that's a very solid pick to get rid of those.
Yeah, I mean, it just, when you think about what a deck builder is, it just makes sense. You're trying to buy stronger cards and
so you don't
then draw into them. So get rid of the ones that you use to buy the bigger ones so that you don't have to fucking deal with it anymore.
Exactly. Which transitions perfectly into my next point of, on average, you want to keep a thin deck of either strong cards or I'm going to say strong combos. Now, this is also just true of card games in general. There's deck minimums in most card games for a very specific reason, is that if you could, say in Magic, if you could have literally any deck size you want, like obviously I know you can go up to the amount of cards that you can shuffle with your own two hands.
They actually removed that rule.
That's lame, and
it's not.
I'm sure it
because
don't get me wrong. I'm sure it was a good change.
Shuffle a 60 card deck.
I'm sure it's a good change, but the idea that you can have a 300 card deck if you can shuffle it is funny to me. I'm sure it's a good overall change to the rules. But if you could have a 5 card deck and you have a 5 card combo, obviously that's like way too low to actually be able to do anything meaningful in Magic. Probably. I'm not willing to stand by that statement. On average, that's not going to be enough, but say it was in standard.
No, it certainly
if your 5 card combo. I meant more in standard, obviously in Commander.
Sure.
Like Legacy,
I'm thinking of a deck where you only need 4 cards, and it's 2 lands and then 2 other cards.
Exactly, I'd say something like that.
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm retarded. You don't even need 1/2 of that combo, because if you had 3 cards, 2 islands, and then a Thassa's Oracle, you win the game.
Oh god, yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. So something like that. There's a reason you have to have a minimum amount of cards in like a constructed card game like that. In a deck builder, less cards in your deck is the way to think about it. If you need a really simple thing, is less cards equals a better chance of getting the specific cards you want. If you have a 40 card deck in Magic and you have a 4 of set in that, you have a, god, whatever percent chance. Why do I keep giving myself math? You have a 4 in 40 chance to draw it. If you have 20 cards, you have a 4 in 20. You have a better chance, so you want to keep your deck as slim as possible. in most deck builders that I've played. Balatro is a bit of an exception since you're always starting at actually, it's not a fucking exception. You slimming your deck below 52 is somewhat doable. It's a little harder, but like it's very good to get consistent things. I've had 23 card decks before. Like,
that's crazy.
I've played a lot of Balatro. And another part of that is just because a card is good doesn't mean that you need it if it isn't helpful to your overall goal. And I think that's a pitfall that I fell into for a very long time, of just looking at a card and going, that, say for instance in Star Realms, I go, that's big damage, that's a good card, but I'm spec'd into draw. Like, maybe that's not the best example,
sure.
You know what I'm trying to get at.
Like, you're in red. You
synergize.
You're in red and you're looking at a green. And it's like, right. Motherfucker, that green says 15 damage on it.
Mm-hmm. But it's not synergizing with the overall goal of your deck, so it's probably not actually that good. Cards are situationally good in a roguelike. Yes, in a roguelike, but in a deck builder. And that goes in, again, to my next point of you, at a certain point for most of these games, as we've been talking about, you have to have a build or an idea in mind of how you're going to win. Your block build in Slay the Spire, your red play a bunch of fucking card damage in Star Realms, your every card in my 52 card deck is the same suit, so I can only play flush. God, it's so easy to play a flush deck in Balatro. I have to challenge myself specifically to not play them. You have to have a build in these to succeed. As in any card game, you can't just roll up with an assorted pile of 60 fucking cards in your Magic deck and go, this'll work. It probably won't. You have to know what you're doing and have a somewhat cohesive deck. Obviously, it's harder in a roguelike to get there. And as I kind of mentioned in either Balatro or Slay the Spire, I don't remember at this point, you have to, once you're good enough and have played that specific game, you have to be able to have the ability to pivot and realize when something else is coming up that is better than what you're actually building. So say in Balatro, there's 8 antes. For the first 3 antes, you're getting a bunch of cards that are like 3 of a kind, duplicate this card so you can like start stacking them, and you go, okay, I'm playing a 3 of a kind deck. And then antes 4 through 7 go, here's a full build completely made out to crush with a flush deck. That's a hard pivot. Like, that might not be the easiest thing to pull off, but if you can spot the line and do it, I'd say that's a good indication when you're like really getting good at a deck builder. When you can go, okay, this has carried me this far. It was good. This is the line now. And like, I'm not even claiming that I'm fucking good at that. I'm normally not. I get tunnel visioned into shit really hard. But I'd say that's like a pretty good indication of being like, I get this game now. And it's like something to go towards of being able to transition your deck into something that is better at the time when it comes up, which can be difficult to spot. And fuck, sometimes it's like you get a card that you know is really good for this build, but you go, am I gonna get the other pieces? I can't guarantee them, and if I fuck this build, I'm SOL. But like, sometimes you just have to take those risks to beat the game. Like, that's super common in Slay the Spire, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, of like, you have to take that risk because it's like, ooh, if I can't clear this elite fight now and I do the safe option, what are the odds that I'm actually going to be able to like beat the boss? If I can't even beat the lower powered boss, the odds that I'm going to be able to beat the higher powered boss are way lower. So I might as well take the risky option to see if I can test myself in like, if I pull it off, now I'm way fucking stronger than I was before. That type of a thing.
Yeah.
And then I believe the last thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of applicable to just card game. I mean, it's really applicable to all games, and I'm really bad about it in a lot of games. But specifically, how I'm going to want to talk about it in card games is use all of your resources. Every resource available to you, you should be using. And the best example I have of this is I heard actually in the context of Dark Souls 2, weirdly, but I'm going to put it into terms of Slay the Spire. You have HP in that game, which any game where you have HP, that normally means that losing is a binary condition. You are either dead or you are not dead. Those are the only two options. Like, yes, you can have 10 health instead of 50 health, but you don't lose until you're at 0. That's a binary statement. So if your HP equals 0, you're dead. Everything above it, you're not dead. Now, this matters because in Slay the Spire, sometimes dealing 40 damage to an enemy, even though you're going to take 20 damage, but you guarantee that the next round you end the fight, can be a lot better than drawing out the turn or the fight for 3 turns, where over that time you kill him and you might take a little bit less damage, but if there's a second enemy there, it's a lot harder. Sometimes you have to go for that risky play. Health, what I'm getting at here is health is a resource. And that's why I say it can apply to a lot of games, but like it really applies to a lot of these. And even though it's not in the deck builder side of it, a pitfall that I fell into really hard when I first started playing Hearthstone was the Warlock class, which every every character in Hearthstone has a hero power. The Warlock says life tap, pay 2 mana, lose 2 life, draw a card. And I feel like it's probably safe to say, at least for me, I feel like for a lot of people, when you see something that says pay life in a card game, you go, I only have 30 of that. That's a bad idea. I'm never going to hit that button. Because why would I lose 2 life? What if I lose by 2 life? Then I'm going to feel really bad about myself. And when I was playing, and maybe still, I don't keep up with Hearthstone. Fuck that game. Life Tap was one of the best fucking hero powers because, as we've talked about on this podcast, draw is fucking crazy. More options is almost never worse. Having more options available to you is almost always a better thing. So using your resources, which is your life in this case, to have more options is good. That's always a good thing. The other example that I have is if we're thinking of Balatro, you can buy jokers in the stores. These are the things that we said that affect your deck and how it plays. Now, sometimes it can be worth buying a joker that you don't necessarily need at the moment, but it'll give you just that little edge, and then it can just be sold later. And like, there's a whole mechanic in Balatro where if you hold on to a certain amount of money, you earn interest on it. So like, there's an argument to be made for spending or holding your money, of course. But like, you need to be thinking about that of like, don't just sit on a pile of resources. Like the old joke of like Skyrim of like, you go, oh, I need to use this. I need to save this potion for when I really need it. And then you get to the end of the game and you have 6 full fucking inventories of shit that you're really gonna need at some point. And then you just cakewalk the fucking boss anyways. That's fine in like RPGs. I am very guilty of that. Like really, really guilty of that. But like, if you're not doing it, if you're not using all of your resources in a game like Slay the Spire or Balatro, something like that, or even fucking Star Realms in Clank, you're probably not gonna win if the other people you're playing against, if it's competitive, are using all of theirs, or just if you're not using all of your resources in Slay the Spire, you're underutilizing things and you're probably just going to fucking die because you didn't use things in the correct way. And I think that just not being conscious of that is a pitfall that I certainly fell into. And I feel like it's probably not the most uncommon thing, especially when it comes to like taking damage specifically. Like that's the one that like really resonates with me the most. But yeah, you use all of your resources. If a game gives you something, you're meant to use it. They're not giving it to you for the fuck of it. Like you're meant to use the things that you're given. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so this is a common saying in Magic the Gathering, especially Commander, which is the format that we play often.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about life being a resource, and
yeah,
it wasn't until recently that I kind of got away from life as a resource because Black can sacrifice life to draw cards.
Yep.
Life is a resource in Commander in the way that you can take bad hits from your opponents so that you keep your dude around that's doing something for you.
Right.
Like having 40 life in that situation can let you take some beatings that maybe you don't want to take, but
it's better than losing one of the 3 pieces of your fucking combo.
Yeah, or just a board state.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd agree. You know, just especially with what you said with like the Jokers, it's like if it's in the shop and you have the money laying around for Balatro, pick it up because you don't know what you're gonna fucking draw, and you might miss all of the hearts that you're going for, whatever it is that you're looking to do. So it's just always worth picking it up if you can.
Yeah, the Joker might not actually pay off for shit, but if it doesn't, and then another one that you actually want comes up, sell that first one, and then you don't lose all of your money and you buy the next one. And so you're not like losing anything. And if it procs twice and then you sell it, all the better. Like it did a little bit of a thing to carry you through. The one that I think of for that is like the popcorn one. There's a Joker that gives you plus 20 multiplier, but at the end of after a hand scores, the multiplier is reduced by 4. So you have 5 turns. Yeah, it's
like the perfect example
of that. And that's great. That's a genuinely very strong card at really any point of the game, but especially early to like carry you through. And if you can time it correctly, you go down to where it's at a plus 4 multiplier and you sell it. Because that plus 4 multiplier hopefully shouldn't make or break you by the time you've played that many hands with it. And then you get a little bit of money back because it's not like that decreases the value of the Joker.
Right.
And then you can use it to buy the next thing. So you're just like using it, flipping it into something else, and creating stronger and stronger things. I think that's all I've got. I talked a lot more about Slay the Spire than I thought I was going to be honest.
I could have told you that you were going to.
That's fair.
I wish you would have asked.
The only
reason I would have told you. Yeah, you're going to talk a fuck ton about it.
Is because I have talked about Slay the Spire before, so I didn't think I'd need to talk about it as much, but then I just started going. That's all I got, I think. Unless there's anything else you're looking to add.
No,
if you haven't checked out Deck Builders, give them a shot. There's some good ones. I'm sure there's some good ones that we haven't talked about. Because like I said, there was a lot of them for a good number of years. But I'd say, in my opinion, the actual best one is Slay the Spire. But if you need to like lose like a full week of your life, probably pick up Balatro. It's a little bit cheaper and
ridiculously fun.
I was not ready for how hard that game was going to fucking capture my attention. Yeah. I was like genuinely shocked. One of the streamers I like was playing it and I saw poker and went, fuck that. That doesn't look fun. I watched one video from a different content creator and went, oh, that's not poker. Oh, that looks really fun. And then I didn't stop playing it for a full week. So, definitely worth the $15 if it's not on sale when you buy it. Heavily recommend it. If it's not a genre of games that you normally play, I recommend checking it out. You might enjoy them. You might not, but hopefully you can use the little bit of shit advice that we give to help you get through your first couple games of whichever one you pick up. And we hope you enjoy it. And without anything else to say, we hope you have a great rest of your week, weekend, day, whenever you happen to be listening to this episode. Hope you had a very happy Mother's Day. And we hope you tune in to the next episode. And until then, I've been Ian.
And I'm always Tyler.
What do we got coming up next, Tyler?
Oh, I want to see if I can break reality with some Pathfinder spells. I'm going to do a little thinking on it. I've worked on something.
Okay.
I kind of want to give all of my friends the tools to make our one friend really hate running a game.